Please join in welcoming Dwayne Wade, Alok, and Queen Jean.
Good morning. How y'all doing? First of all, I just want to say we did not plan these outfits.
Okay.
This is how we roll. So we don't have much time. We have a few questions that we would love to get to. This conversation, for me, as a father of a beautiful daughter in the queer community, this is an important conversation. And so, Alok, thank you. I know my daughter Zaya and you have had some conversations before. And Queen, pleasure and honor to meet you guys. So all I gotta say before these questions is gratitude. Thankful for you guys and just the gratitude that I have for you guys standing up and living life and using your voices and your platform and everything to speak out and speak up. So gratitude, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so these questions, Alok, I'm coming to you first. And it's unfortunate we got to start it off with why. I hate that question. I hate saying why. But why are the LGBTQ plus people, mainly trans and gender nonconforming people, being attacked and scapegoated so heavily right now? And why should the broader cisgender straight community care?
They keep telling lies about us to distract from truths about themselves. This actually has nothing to do with us. It's never actually been about us. James Baldwin said that people invent categories to feel safe. And what they did is they called us other so that they could pretend like they were normal. And they could never actually accept that they were more complex, more expansive, more celestial than any category could contain in them. So when they see us as trans and gender nonconforming people have the audacity to be free, to actually live the lives that they thought and still think are impossible, lives that are curated and cultivated around joy and possibility and expansion, they perceive us as a threat and not an invitation to another way to be. So what's necessary, I think, going forward is to move the onus away from my body towards their psyche, to actually ask why homophobia and transphobia is because that prevents you from actually doing the self-work, the shadow work of self-acceptance. So it's actually because of our power. And I know that it's not a narrative that we might hear often, but it's because trans people are so powerful that we're maybe even beautiful.
Amen. Ashe.
This next question is for you, Queen. And you've been disrespected, you've been arrested. And so I think this question is perfect because what does allyship mean to you, and what can people, even allies, do to identify and address their own biases towards our community?
Thank you for this question. It really resonates with me. And to be honest, I feel like we could actually dedicate this entire initiative just to that question, because it is so deeply permeated in every part of our culture and every part of our communities. And so to answer that, I will say I actually want to uplift what Governor Hochul shared about bullies and dark forces. And to be honest, bullies and dark forces are things that queer and trans people, a lot of us are very used to, right? We identify with them. We actually know who they are. A lot of them sometimes are people that we have grown up with. They're our elders, our parents, our guardians, relatives. And so those bullies, and they could actually even be your mayor, right? They could actually be your public officials. Those dark forces could actually even be the public safety that promise to, offer compassion, protection, and respect. But the reality is what they give us is disrespect, and they dehumanize all of our existence. And so to continue to that question, the point about allyship, to me, allyship is valuable, but you can't, it's not something that you can just buy into, right? It's not a myth, it's not a phenomenon. It is a truth. It is a honest truth. And if you are struggling to see yourself in me, right? Because all you see is hatred, all you see is, you might not even see a woman, right? You may see a lot of predispositive, conditions. A lot of times we're misgendered. Oftentimes we are literally put down, and people will go to any extent to find the truth that isn't within themselves. And when your own family will not honor you, and a pronoun truly means nothing, right? That costs you nothing. It costs you nothing to respect someone in this world, but people will go out of their way to riddle you, to belittle you, and to put you underneath their boot. As an ally, what you have to do is to stand even further and to rise up. You don't have to wait until someone says something crazy. You truly show up in a way that transforms the space. You have to reveal your weapon of kindness before they reveal their weapon of death. And that reveal, right? You have to reveal that weapon because it can heal people. And so I'm honored to be asked this question because I feel like as a parent, as a father, you've revealed so many truths to our own communities about fatherhood. In the ways that my line of work, I sit across oftentimes from a lot of parents and fathers who are struggling to accept their child and like, well, I don't understand. Like, this is not, like, I didn't raise them this way. And so they need to go. And I have literally left many households with a child because their family will no longer tolerate them because they're not going to comply, they're not going to conform, they're not going to hide the light that shines within them. And so as an ally, that means that you have to be stronger than what we have to endure. Because we had to be built with an armor. My armor is in this dress. It's in these shoes. It's in the bend of my wrists. But it is seen as weakness in someone else's eyes. So for me, an ally means that you're not only willing, but you are deeply, deeply invested that I survive, that we all survive. We don't need more leader. Allyship is important, but we need co-conspirators, right? I mean, so many people will perform allyship. They will even broadcast and promote all of these symbols of solidarity. But where are the pride flags now? We're still Black and trans. We're still queer. We still need your support. A mother in California was unfortunately killed because she displayed that symbol of solidarity in her store. There have been many trans and Black people killed by people who might have called themselves allies. And so to me, I feel that we have to reveal what it is that is deeply embedded, and that's hate, prejudice, bias. Thank you.
Thank you for that answer. That mother was a part of our Los Angeles community. Daughters go to school together. So something that we've dealt with in LA with that. Something that's important, I know, Alok, for you as an artist, how can we each contribute to shifting the narrative for the LGBT plus people, and what roles does art have in changing culture?
Thinking is the most flimsy function of the brain. Actually, most people make decisions from what's called the downstairs brain, or the amygdala. Other words for it are the primitive or reptilian brain, where fear and anger live. Isn't it interesting that we call the most human part of the brain reptilian and primitive? Actually, the most human thing is emotion, and yet the political performance art makes us think that people are making rational decisions, that prejudice is rational. It's not. People have deep emotion that they then subsequently decorate with big words to justify small feelings. So as an artist, my job is to reach people at a more deep and truthful level, which is emotion, and to actually say that there is nothing rational or logical about homophobia and transphobia. It's there because you hate yourself, and I'm just caught in the crossfire of your internal war. So as an artist, my job is to actually think deeper. Right now, there's a lot of focus on legislation, but I want to remind people that even before, after, and during the laws, the hatred will still be there. And we keep on thinking that if we just get seen, if we just get recognized, that will change. What will actually change people is when people see themselves in us, is the end of separation. So my 10-year plan is not just trans rights, it's the end of loneliness. My 10-year plan is not just trans acceptance, it's the end of a culture where you can exist watching people like me and people like me and Queen getting attacked and thinking, oh, that's not gonna hit me. It's the naivety of thinking that you're safe from an impending fascism that is templating itself first on us and teaching people that if you assert your dignity and your beauty, you will be persecuted, punished, and exiled from the imagination of what this country is. So we've got to have deeper stakes. So when people ask me, what do we need going forward, I say we need artists. I say we need to be funding artists to actually reach people at a deeper and more honest level.
Thank you.
Yes. I was also going to respond to that and say, Nina Simone often tells us that it's the role and the duty of an artist to reflect the times. And in this moment, there's so much uncertainty, but ongoing chaos. And as the artists, we ourselves are living in that chaos. We're survivors of chaos. And so even just, having the visibility doesn't offer you protection. It actually offers you a great big target. And so when you do speak your truth, when you are unapologetically genderless, proud, resilient even, right? There is an entire world of people, of media, who will not receive it in an affirming way. Their often reaction, right, is to see the evil in it. And they demonize it. And so as an artist, we not only have to reflect the times, but we have to combat the demonization that what you're saying, that what you have had to go through is just as valuable and has just as much valor as your neighbor or your counterpart, your constituent. And so I just wanted to share that as well about the role of the artist.
No, thank you. Thank you. Queen, I want to get to this question, and it's very important. Mutual aid. Mutual aid is a powerful tool for the LGBTQ plus advocacy. When is it most effective? And how have you mobilized mutual aid in your communities?
Mutual aid is my mission statement, to be honest with you. I fully believe and I exercise and practice daily this concept of fellowship and radical hospitality. I started Black Trans Liberation this summer of 2020 with the unfortunate murder of George Floyd. But then 2 days later, Tony McDade, a Black trans man, was also murdered in Tallahassee, Florida. But the community was quite silent around the advocacy for his death and the true justice that Tony also deserved. And so for me, I realized pretty quickly on the front lines that our community, what we needed most initially was food, housing, resources, mental health resources. And so mutual aid is the practice of mutuality, being able to share and to provide and to resource one another without it having to have a tide to it, that we can actually fully invest, that if we all sow into each other, we will all be able to grow and to elevate together as a community. So we collectively elevate, and that not one person is, uprooted from the struggle. The struggle is that we're going to work so hard that there will no longer be struggle. There will be triumph and victory wherever we are. And so for me, I feel that mutual aid is something that I've deeply committed myself to, and that we provide food and shelter and a safe place for trans and queer gender nonconforming people to exist. And you would not believe that in New York City, that actually is a very hard place to find, almost impossible. And we've committed ourselves to doing it weekly, every day. And to be honest, I actually just came back from a 3-day mutual aid weekend We had an entire activity dedicated on Friday. We had a trans takeover at Reese Beach, where we celebrated Pride on the beach. And that is something that is actually it's an American tradition to go to the beach. But as a trans person, it is actually a very haunting experience. So to be able to be there with your family, to have your cookout, to have your hot dog, and to play volleyball and soccer and not feel that you're going to be demonized for it is uplifting. And last night I drove back from upstate, where we have a farm where we not only provide and create food, but we have a sovereignty program. So the meals that we're cultivating and growing, we're able to give directly back to the community so that they can have a healthy and a safe place for nurturing.
Yes. So I would say last question, and this is to both of you guys, and it's kind of right off the rear of safe spaces. I have a lot of people who come up to me and just ask me as a father of Zaya, questions as in, where do you start? You know, I think a lot of us have a hard time starting conversations, asking questions. And so my question to you guys would be for kids out there, for families, for parents, for anyone. Where do they start when it comes to the conversation of the queer community? A lot of people don't know how to enter that conversation, don't know how to have it, and not even around their kids or their family member being in the community. Just how do you even start the conversation to educate about our community?
We have to go internal before we go external.
Yeah. Yes.
And you have to get curious about all the parts of yourself you thought you were certain in. What's disingenuous is when you think that, oh, it's those gender nonconforming people over there. How have you disobeyed the laws of gender in your own life? How have gender norms not actually allowed you to live the fullest and freest version of yourself? What lingering grief do you have in you that someone saw you first as a man or woman and not as you, your name, your distinct personality? Become intimate with that pain so that you don't project it out on us. And what's missing right now is that people think that this is charitable work, that you're doing this in support of us. But I think the most controversial pronoun in this country is we, it's not they. And to actually be committed to we is to say, I'm doing this for all of us. And what I think is missing right now is that people only instigate the conversations about LGBTQ people when we're there in the room, have them when we're not there, and say, I'm part of that community, a community of people defined by our curiosity and our wonder.
Thank you, Alok. You give such profound offerings so freely. Thank you. I'll be honest, this question is, I guess it really resonates with me because I remember being a young kid, a young queer kid, and my father was deeply invested in me, like, doing football. And I was like, okay, Dad. And we had many conversations. We would go to the Foot Locker trying to get me cleats. Boo, look, I really want these little jelly sandals. You're like, there was so many things. I was like, no! Please. He tried to get me like Shaq sneakers. Okay, yeah, okay, whatever. I was like, please, I just want a little
Walmart
Lisa.
joints.
Okay, I was like, look, I just want a little Lisa Frank, zip, Velcro, light up. And so there were many opportunities that a conversation could have sparked, but unfortunately, there was the immediate urge, right, to like stop that, right? You need to stop thinking that way. And so because you're chastised for it, then the young child, right, you no longer feel safe to actually say what's on your mind. And so as a young adult, I finally had that conversation with my father. And I was like, look, this whole time you wanted me to come out here and be defensive tackle. I actually just wanted to be a designer, right? I wanted to actually be an artist and wanted your support. And of course, he just started shouting out Leviticus. I said, Father, I'm not talking about Leviticus. I'm talking about love. Do you actually love me? And he's a man of the cloth, a pastor. And it's something that I felt I finally had the courage to say. And I said, Dad, I'm going to be so honest with you. I don't think that you love God. Because if you loved God, you would actually see the God in me. You would not be tormenting yourself to struggle to love me. You would not feel so much animosity and so much rage every time one of your colleagues or someone, one of your coworkers says something about me, what they perceived of me, my femininity, my weakness. I wish that my father was so proud to have supported me. So many of our parents, elders, relatives, who have the capacity to start that conversation. And if you can't start it, you can create a place of safety so that it can happen. But they don't. It's so easy, it's so satiable to live in the hate and the despair. But it actually takes a lot of love to be able to tell a child, you can talk to me about anything. In the way that my siblings were able to talk about anything. They talked about boys, girls. I'm like, look, I wasn't even interested in that. I just wanted to travel to Paris. I'm like, I want to travel, Dad. I wish I could have shared that with him. I wish I could have shared my dreams with my family. But I had to wait to find my own chosen family where they could not only value me, but they could actually sow a seed into my dreams. And that's why I'm here today. I'm here as a proud, Black, resilient trans woman, as a survivor, because I had to find my own tribe. And my family didn't have the capacity to build that. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, love wins. Thank you, guys. Obviously it's important to have this conversation and in this intimate room. So we thank the CGI family for that, and love wins. And so taking action together is the initiative and the motto, and that's what we should do, continue to take action together. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you both. Appreciate you.